Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today on June 2nd of 2025, an expansion to the Endeavor system was just announced that includes new rewards and perks. In this video, I'll be breaking down each part of the update, going over some additional developer commentary that has appeared since the announcement, and giving you my thoughts on all of it. As always, chapters to each topic are listed below. And before I get too far into things, let's go over when this is expected to drop. So for PC players, this should be dropping alongside Season 34, Heart of the Matter, which from what I understand should be dropping on June 3rd of 2025. And for those of you over on console, you can expect that update to then follow either later in June or sometime in July. And before I dive into things, I assume anyone watching this video is already familiar with the Endeavor system. If you're not, the short and simple answer is that it is a player retention system in the game that rewards you for doing various activities every day. On top of getting rewards from each completed task, you also earn Endeavor XP that you can use on Endeavor perk points to get account-wide stat buffs for things like critical chance and severity, resistance, damage buffs, and much more. And with that quick recap out of the way, let's dive into this update. The first part of this is the addition of 20 new Endeavor perks. The cap for any specific perk is still 25, so with this addition we're going from a maximum Endeavor rank of 750 up to 1,250. I will be addressing what that means for completing your Endeavor perks in more detail later in the video, but for this portion I want to focus on what these new perks are. In total there's 6 new ground perks and 14 for space. Ground is marked in green and space in red. The reason space has so much more is because half of the new perks are for cooldown reduction, which I have marked in blue over at the right, with 8 of those 10 specifically being for space bridge officer ability recharge for attack, Inge, Psi, and each of the specializations. And the other 2 of those 10 cooldown reduction being for space and ground captain abilities. Each of these cooldown reduction perks gets 0.4% cooldown reduction per rank, with a max of 10% when you have 25 perk points invested into that perk. Now, to make the remaining 10 perks more visible, I've cut the 10 cooldown reduction perks out of the picture. So starting at the top here, there is Armor Pen for ground and space, and this is going to be 1 armor pen per point with a max of 25. Then you have Shield Regen for ground and space, that's 1% per stack up to 25%. And then there's a bunch of weapon damage ones down here. So there's Alpha, Beta, and Gamma for space and ground. Each of those is 1% Cat 1 per stack up to a max of 25%. Alpha is buffing up Plasma, Phaser, Proton, Psionic, and Cold damage. Beta buffs up Disruptor, Polaron, Physical, Radiation, and Fire. And for Gamma, that is Anti-Proton, Tetrion, Kinetic, Electrical, and Toxic, though I don't recall anything doing toxic damage in space. If I'm forgetting something, leave a comment down below. Now, as for my thoughts on these 20 perk additions, honestly, I'm disappointed. They had an opportunity to add in some perks that would have boosted alternative playstyles like carriers. Some pet-focused buffs would have been very well received. Instead, we have 8 Bridge Officer recharge perks that, honestly, should have just been merged together. We're talking about a system that has perk tracks that net up to 12.5% crit chance, 50% severity. 1 track giving 10% cooldown reduction to all Bridge Officer abilities would have been perfectly fine. And hopping over to the STO subreddit, Potsy, who is one of the top carrier players on the PC side of things, they posted 5 different ideas for some perks that could have been done for carriers. Plus pet hit points, pet damage, crit severity and crit chance, and Hangar Bay recharge. They could have done all 5 of those, and still had 2 more perks that they could have played around with to do something a bit more creative than just splitting up all the Bridge Officer cooldown reduction. Now, with this being a system designed for player retention, I think it would have been very beneficial for them to have engaged with the community a bit more to figure out what people want. Get some feedback and put some perks in there that people are going to be motivated to work towards. And this is my final comment for this section before I move on to the second part of the Endeavor update, and it may sound a bit extreme, but if it were up to me, I'd put a pause on this rollout, merge those 8 Bridge Officer recharge perks into 1, add in the 5 carrier perks I mentioned before, which I'll have up on screen again, and engage the community to figure out what to do for the last 2. Even if it delayed the rollout of this Endeavor update until the summer event, I think people would be fine with that if the result is some buffs that are actually going to have an impact on newer playstyles that are starting to pick up traction. These Endeavor perk updates only happen every few years. I just don't think the opportunity should be wasted on a bunch of Bridge Officer recharge bloat. Now onto the second part of the update. They're adding in rewards that you get at certain Endeavor rank milestones. The first is at 450 Endeavor rank, and you'll get the title Endeavor Enthusiast account-wide. At 600, you'll get a one-time claim for 300 Lobi crystals. At 750, you'll get the title To Boldly Go, account-wide. And at 1,250, you'll get the new Endeavor Vandy Shield, for which Thomas has some pictures of over on Blue Sky. This Vandy Shield has a nice metallic gold and silver effect, and I'll have a link to this post down below if you want to take a closer look. Now, as for my thoughts on these rewards, it's a good concept, but I have to imagine the reason that they're doing this is due to how many people slow down on endeavors once they get the tracks done that they care about. I know many people that are space focused, and once they have their space endeavors done, they just stop doing endeavors because all they have left is ground perks and they just don't care about them. And if that is the case, I think aside from the Vandy Shield, things are honestly looking a bit light when you factor in the time these endeavors take to do each day and the multi-year commitment that this system requires. Titles are cool, but there's a lot of competition there. And as for the Lobi crystals, 300 Lobi, that's cool, but, you're engaging with this system for 2.5 years. So grinding 2.5 years to get $60 worth of Lobi, that's not a motivating factor. Not when we've had 30-day events hand out 500 Lobi, and when someone this engaged with the game would have done 2 event campaigns in that time frame and gotten 3,000 Lobi that way. If the goal here is to retain engagement with the Endeavor system, then you need to treat the rewards like battle passes you see in other games, where there's frequently smaller consumable rewards with some larger rewards scattered around, and some highly desired rewards at or near the end of the track to motivate people to engage with the system. Especially in this case where this is a system that takes literally half a decade to complete, the rewards at the end of the track need to be just absolutely insane. And just as an example, over at the top right, I have a write-up here of what a battle pass would look like for a system like this, where you see every 25 levels, there's 50 Lobi crystals, every 50 would be 5 master keys or an ultimate tech upgrade, every 250 an instant level token of your choice, and then you can see at certain levels, there's still certain rewards that you're getting that may stack on top of those other rewards I mentioned before. So that's just an idea of what a system like this would look like, but if they're looking for something that is going to incentivize people to go on a 5-year grind, a Vandy Shield on its own, that ain't really going to do it, and the 300 Lobi crystals, again, you're getting 5 times that from each yearly event campaign. Now, shifting over to the STO subreddit and the Wiki Discord, there have been some additional comments from Bordicus. First, new Endeavor activities were originally hoped to be part of the update, but they were unable to provide the time needed to include them. Hopefully, they're going to be able to, take a look at those in the future, and it really is a shame they were unable to this time around. Some additional tasks and some changes to the existing ones would have been nice. I know, for instance, the VREX one over at the Dyson Battleground causes quite a bit of frustration. And next up is regarding buyouts and ways for folks to catch up. Bordicus said the Endeavor system is and has always been designed for the exclusive purpose of increasing player retention. It is a system that is designed to feel infinite. Their original name for it was even Forever Endeavor. He then stated that their internal metrics showed a measurable positive impact for the game, resulting in more people logging on daily and increasing how long they stayed in the game each day following the launch of the Endeavor system. It has resulted in many more players sticking with the game in between major releases. So buyouts of any sort would compromise all of that. Now, as for ways to boost progression up, Bordicus did say that small XP boosts like the KDF recruit bonus could be considered in the future, but only if offered via retention-based systems such as the other recruitment events. I think at this point it's a very popular opinion that this system taking over 5 years to complete is a bit rough. That means someone starting today, in the middle of 2025, isn't going to be finished until the early 2030s. But there are ways that this system can be made a bit easier to deal with. The first of which is to add an Endeavor XP % bonus perk to all of the recruit characters. Many of those recruits haven't had new tasks on them for several years, so some new tasks on them would incentivize people to actually start playing them again, or make them the next time those events come around. The second is to create an Endeavor XP event to throw in the weekly or weekend event rotation. That is certainly an event that would be causing quite a few people to engage with the game to take advantage of it. And the third here is, with the system being widened so that there's more perks in the pool now, it'd probably be a good idea as well to increase the amount of perks that we see on the window to select from. I think with just 3, you can be a bit limited there, especially with how wide the selection is now. Potentially take that up to 4, and I know you don't want to add a buyout in, but maybe give lifetime a perk where you have the ability to see an additional option on top of that. That's not going to make the progression faster, but it at least give people a better shot at getting a perk that they're satisfied with. And then to follow that up, number 4 here is, again, just juice up those rank rewards like I'd mentioned earlier in the video. That way, once people have the perks they care about, there is still incentive for them to continue working on the system. And next up, a few related concerns. The first is regarding motivation from many endgame focused groups being at what I'd call an all-time low. I've been here since 2012, and the server performance we have seen over the past few years has been slowly pushing groups and people out of the game. I don't know what specifically has been going on the past few months, but things don't seem to be getting better. I've got more and more viewers coming to me to complain about lag in patrols, social maps, and even single-player story content. Suffice to say, motivation to do a grind like this from veteran players is not what it once was due to the poor server performance. I don't know who I need to get the attention of over there to get this sorted out, or what the community needs to provide evidence-wise to get some traction on this, but if you want people to be motivated to do a multi-year grind, it would help if they weren't rubber banding or experiencing heaps of misfires when trying to play the game. And second, regarding PvP, and yes, I am very well aware that the devs do not prioritize PvP. That is why I personally quit the PvP side of STO several years ago. However, there are still people that play and enjoy it, and the expansion of this system is going to further the gap between new and veteran players. That gap will then deter people from wanting to invest further into that side of the game, or in the game at all. It would be very helpful for that community if there was, say, a toggle for private PvP matches that would let you turn the Endeavor perks off for all participants. I don't know how much work that would require, but that would be helpful for that part of the community. And to wrap things up, I think updating the Endeavor system is fine. I just don't agree with how they've went about this specific update. I think the new perks are bloated with Bridge Officer cooldown reduction, and that they very much missed an opportunity to add in some perks that would have boosted alternative playstyles, such as carriers. As for the new rank rewards, that is a good concept, but the current set of rewards just isn't enough to match the multi-year grind that this system is. Remember, with the new max rank at 1,250, someone starting the Endeavor system today would not be finished until the 2030s. It is very clear that a buyout of any sort is a line that they will not cross for the Endeavor system, but there are still ways that they can help boost progression and help folks get the perks that they want a little bit sooner. Overall, I just think that this update needs a bit more time to cook before going live. And with that is all I have for you guys today. So as always, thank you to all channel members and viewers for the continued support. See you guys around.